to talk to you about summarizing, paraphrasing, and quoting. Uh, Going forward, I'm going to need to see this in your work. So, first of all, real quick, the differences between summarizing and paraphrasing and quoting. Summarizing is you're just saying generally what they've said in the whole paper, maybe in a whole section of the paper. You don't really want to do it for line by line. I know I'm going to give you an assignment where you do it by line, but I want you to broad stroke it. That's what the idea for summarizing is. Paraphrasing is putting it into your own words. Quoting is obviously quoting, but we're going to focus on the quote sandwich. One of the things I want to stress to you guys, one of the things I really need you to focus on is paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is of paramount importance of showing that you are a scholar. A good paraphraser is a good scholar, and I need you to be like that. Okay, so first of all, when to summarize. So condensing information. So if you have a lot of stuff that you want to compact, maybe it's a whole book, maybe it's a whole chapter, that's when you summarize. Or you're highlighting the key points of the whole chapter or the whole section. So for example, if I was to highlight if I was to summarize Harry Potter, the story of a orphan boy who has magic, goes to school, gets picked on a lot, and fights Voldemort. That's the summary. That's the summary. That's the key points. Uh, you're just getting the main ideas across. All right. Um, Improving readability and enhances. Instead of a lot of people like to use block quotes, or they'll like have part of a quote, then they'll use an ellipsis, which is dot dot dot, and then another part of the quote. I think you could just say like in summary. It makes it a lot easier. Um, it keeps your writing concise and accurate, and it keeps you objective, because you're not saying whether or not you agree necessarily. You're just saying this is everything they've said. The signal phrases are the key. The author argues that, the article highlights, or the study suggests, um, to summarize what was covered in that chapter, something like that. That's where the fire is. All right. Paraphrasing, restating in your own words. So understanding paraphrasing. You have to know the quote before you can paraphrase it. It is crucial to avoid plagiarism, and it ensures your work is original. It shows that you know the material. It ensures originality and allows you to incorporate and kind of shift. You can reframe the quote to support your evidence more. Key components of paraphrasing. Paraphrasing uses different words and sentence structures. I need to make sure you understand this. Paraphrasing is not just running it through Quillbot. It's not just changing the words, but it's also changing the whole structure of the whole sentence. So a lot of students, like if I said the black dog chased the white cat, a lot of students will say something like, the coal-colored canine ran after the snowy feline. And that's not paraphrasing. It's not. All right. I'm going to do another video shortly about what are the different types of plagiarism, just so you can get some ideas. So here's the tips. So change the sentence structure, like I said, move it around. One of the nice things is in English is you can move things around and it still makes sense. Substitute synonyms. Instead of students, you can use they, or you can look for words that are of the same meaning. Instead of the black dog, it becomes the coal-colored dog, something like that. But to rephrase complex ideas, you need to break it down into simple language. One of the activities I used to do a lot is explain it to my 7-year-old daughter. Could my 7-year-old daughter understand it? And that would be my goal. And then check for accuracy. Does it make sense? I don't want to go through and read a quote and go, or read a paraphrase and be like, but no, that's not what they mean. That's not what they were meaning. That drives me nuts. Incorporating direct evidence. So quotes are good for data. If you got numbers, you can't paraphrase numbers. You can't. You cannot do it. You cannot change the numbers. So go ahead and quote that. If it's a very famous or powerful thing, go ahead and let that go. Remember, there are short quotes which are 40 words and long quotes which are more than 40 words. Long quotes are usually set apart from the main text in something called a block quote. Integrating quotes. It should be seamlessly integrated in your writing. I don't recommend starting a paragraph with a quote. I usually will have a sentence, a topic sentence, then the introduction to the quote, then an explanation. and then maybe transition to another quote. I like having 2 quotes in one paragraph. I think it makes it seem like, balance. But I digress. That's up to you. That's your stylistic choice. The quote sandwich framework. We've talked about this. So the introduction provides context to the quote. Who said it? Why do I care? Why do I care that this person said it? Then the quote with the proper citation. That's a big problem. And explain the significance of the quote and connect it to your argument. This is the part that so many of my students fall down on. You've got to connect it back to what you're saying. You need to be as explicit as, this is to say, this is important for the argument because. Be as explicit as you can. Quoting etiquette, proper attribution. So we're using APA, right? Keep to it. Make sure that you've got it accurate. I didn't want to make you buy the book, but please run it through. I'm going to be making a video in a few minutes about my bib so that you will get some ideas about my bib. Attributions. Make sure that every quote, here's the thing. If you have a quote, make sure, or a paraphrase or a summary, make sure that that is cited properly and that it shows up in your reference list. I've seen too many times I'll see a quote with citation but not in the reference list, and that loses points. And then plagiarism. We have a plagiarism checker. Turn it in. It checks for plagiarism. If yours gets flagged, go in and try to figure it out before I have to come to you. That's what I would say. In the medical research world, like the New England Journal of Medicine or Lancet or Science, do not allow quotes. The top journals do not allow quotes. They only allow paraphrasing. That's the story for another day and an explanation why later. But so it's going to be hard to do quotes there. You can only use paraphrases. I think summary, paraphrasing, and quote are all very useful tools, and that's why I'm allowing you to have a mix of them. But you have to understand, you're not quoting just because I say you need quotes. You're quoting because you're convincing me that you're well read, you're convincing me you know what you're talking about, and you're showing me what other people have said that supports your argument. That's the whole point. All right? I need you guys to master the art of summarizing, paraphrasing, and quoting. I need to see it in this paper. I don't really think you necessarily need to do summarizing on this paper per se, but you will need to do it for your final research paper. All right? And good work. I hope this video helps.